Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It's Tiff with Voices for Independence Fitness and Activities here with you on this Monday morning. It is March 29th. We're almost through March already. I can't believe it. And of course, being the end of March, what does that mean in Erie, Pennsylvania? That's probably going to snow soon. I was actually up early this morning. I have already been to the gym, so super proud of myself that I started my day out that way. I'm trying to get back into some of my two-a-day training sessions for a competition I have in June. It probably wasn't the smartest decision this morning after I finished up a virtual competition yesterday and tweaked my shoulder a little bit. It was pretty sore all day, but I went to the gym this morning and it was doing pretty well. So hopefully that heals quickly, and I have to remind myself not to overdo it. But get your day started, get up, get moving. It definitely makes a great start for the day. But like I was saying, it was cold out this morning because it's the end of March in Erie, Pennsylvania, and that's what happens. It was actually snowing a little bit. It's going to be 70 tomorrow and then snow again on Thursday. So welcome spring in Erie, Pennsylvania. With that being said, though, I'm here to share recipes with you and not weather updates. So this morning I am making a vegan berry crumble. So when it says vegan in the title, that just means that there's no animal products in the ingredients. So we have no butter or eggs or dairy in this recipe. So if you are not able to eat those items due to dietary restrictions or just the way you like to eat, then this is a great recipe for you. It has some delicious fresh berries, but also adds a little bit of that sweetness with our natural sweeteners. So to get started, what you're going to need is 1.5 cups of blueberries, rinsed and dried. I already had mine washed up because I always have blueberries in the house. They're great source of antioxidants, high in fiber, and they are super good for you. I eat blueberries almost every day, so I actually need to get more. I had exactly 1.5 cups. That's what I needed, so that worked out. We're also going to do the same thing with raspberries. I always wash and dry my berries and then wash the containers and put them back in, because the containers they come in are actually great containers for storage. They're aerated, meaning there's holes in them so the air can circulate, so they're not going to get moldy and from their moisture in the refrigerator. But we need 1.5 cups of raspberries as well. So that was a perfect amount there. We'll just get those two last guys in there. And I'm just going to toss the berries together a little bit. And this is going to be the makings of the bottom of our berry crumble. So to our berries, we are going to add a little bit of lemon juice. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of that lemon juice. And I don't think I poked that hole large enough in mine. Let me see. Let me get a little, set that down without spilling it. Let me get my lemon juice poker out and make that hole a little bit wider. Those are perfect. I think these are like these metal skewers for when you're doing like turkeys and chickens to hold them shut when you stuff them. But I use them as my poking device for my lemon and lime juices. There we go, much better. So we're going to add 1 tablespoon of that lemon juice, and then we're going to add a little bit of sweetener. Sometimes berries can be bitter, although this time of year, and I'm not sure why, the berries that we get shipped to this neck of the woods have been really sweet and delicious. They're not very tart. I've been very fortunate this winter with the blueberries around here. All right, so we're gonna have 1/4 cup of pure maple syrup as our sweetener, or you can use honey. This one just calls for maple. Now, if you're using honey, it's no longer vegan. That is an animal byproduct. That is why they're using maple in this recipe. All right, so I'm just gonna stir those in, making sure the berries get coated. And then I'm going to add just a hint of vanilla, as vanilla always adds a nice little underlying flavor in baked goods. In the meantime, make sure you preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Whoops, that's a little bit of an overpour for the baking of our berry crumble. And then lastly, we're just going to add about 3 tablespoons of coconut flour. Again, it's just going to coat those berries. We want to make sure that they get evenly coated, so I'm going to sprinkle it over the top of the berries, And then I'm going to gently toss them in the coconut flour and then add the next tablespoon one at a time. That way we can try and evenly, oh, a guy flew out, evenly coat our berries. All right, so that's 3 tablespoons. We have to add 2 more. I'm gonna add them again one at a time to try and evenly coat the berries with the coconut flour. So again, I'm just folding the berries and the flour into the berries, I should say, by scooping from the bottom and folding over the top. 1 last tablespoon of our coconut flour. And then these are gonna go in a 8x8, a small pan, can be a small square pan, like your half a cake pan. If you want, you could probably do this in a bread pan. It's gonna be a little bit thicker layer of berries, but that's quite all right. They're all nutritious. All right, let me get my pan. All right, this is an 8x, mine's more like a 7x9. Same difference in volume when we add our delicious mixture in. So I'm gonna put that right in the bowl to make sure I get all that maple back out and into with my berries. All right, so I'm just gonna evenly spread those onto the bottom of my dish. Remember, I lightly grease my pan with a little bit of olive oil or coconut oil. All right, I'm gonna set that bowl aside, and then I'm gonna set my berries aside for a moment as I make the crumb topping. So for the crumb topping, we are going to need, let me get my measuring spoon out of there. We're gonna need 3/4 cup of almond flour. So my almond flour right here. Again, these are flour alternatives to the white processed flour. They're a little bit better for you, better options, more natural options. I'm going to add 3/4 cup of the almond flour. You can find this even at Walmart. Walmart has gotten great on having more all natural alternatives in their grocery area, so it's wonderful that you can get them at places like that, because Walmarts seem to be accessible to a lot of people. They have them all over the country, and so, but you can get this at obviously at a grocery store as well, or online. All right, we're gonna add 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. Lots of times when we're using these alternative flours, we'll add 2 different kinds. Almond flour is a little bit more coarse of a flour, while coconut flour is a really fine flour. So sometimes mixing them together adds for a more, I don't want to say natural consistency, because white processed flour is not natural, but that's what we're used to. So it adds a more similar texture that we're used to. All right, you can add a pinch of salt if you want. And then we're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. That is a great spice to put on a crumble topping. So we're going to put that right in there. And then it calls for 1/2 cup of granola or mixed nuts. Now, I don't have any granola here. Sometimes, especially store-bought granola, is packed with sugar and things I don't necessarily want unless I make my own granola. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a 1/2 cup of old-fashioned oats. So I'm going to put these right in. And I'm going to get a 1/2 cup of that. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of chopped pecans as well. So this crumble topping is going to be delicious and flavorful with all these mix-ins we have. And then we are also going to add 3 tablespoons of unsweetened coconut flakes, which is another great add-in. Let me make sure I found my right. Again, all these items I found at my local Walmart. So again, they are easy to find in areas near you. I always say if Erie has it, I think everyone probably has it. Because sometimes it's hard to find things in Erie, Pennsylvania. All right, so 3 tablespoons of our coconut. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of our almond butter to kind of pull it together and help our crumble stick together a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of mix my flours and oats and nuts together a little bit. And then I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of my almond butter, which tends to be a little bit thicker than your all natural peanut butter. which is why I'm thinking they use it in this recipe. Plus, it's a milder taste. Not that peanut butter is strong, but definitely has a distinctive flavor. While almond butter can be easily disguised as sweet or savory, in my opinion. All right, there's our almond butter. And then they want a little bit of coconut sugar as well. It says a tablespoon. I'm probably going to add like a half a tablespoon. I don't want that much added sugar in mine. Even though coconut sugar is an alternative sugar, it's still a sugar. It's just not as processed, but it still has the same, in my opinion, negative qualities as white sugar. It's not quite as bad, but again, if you're using an all-natural sweetener, I would go towards your honey or your maple. All right, so there is our crumble topping. I'm gonna get a fork out to mix this. We do have a lot of dry ingredients that we need to incorporate in with that peanut butter, or almond butter, pardon me. So I'm just going to kind of press it together using the back of my fork as I turn my bowl around, because we really want this to form a crumb topping. So it's going to take a minute to work with it. I think I got my, oh yeah, I did. So I also got out my pastry cutter, which looks like this. If you have one of these, sometimes these are helpful when you're trying to mix dry ingredients into a crumble. It's really that almond butter that's a little bit thicker that's going to make it a little more challenging. So take your time. You can get your arm exercises in. All right, we're getting there, folks. Starting to come together now. And then what we're going to do is we are going to sprinkle this across the top of those delicious berries we already have prepared in the pan. All right. I feel like most of my dry ingredients are well incorporated in a crumble. You're not going to get, unless you use your food processor, it might be challenging to, oh my gosh, I just made a mess. You might be challenging to get a real consistent crumble mixture, but let's just scrape that out of the way. I feel mine is at a great place, so I'm just going to take that and evenly sprinkle this delicious crumble over the top of my berries. Again, my oven has been preheated at 350 degrees. So this makes a lot of crumble topping. Now, it seems really dry for a crumble topping, but we have just pure berries at the bottom, which contain a lot of water. So as they bake, they are going to cook down, and a lot of that water is going to be released. So it will help moisten your crumble topping, and it will brown up as well. So that's all there is to it. Let me check your baking time for you. We are going to put this in the oven for about 20 minutes, and then we are going to cover it with foil. No, we're not. I'm sorry, we're going to cover it with foil, bake for 20 minutes, take the foil off, and then bake for another 10 to crisp up the top. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. Make sure you stay tuned. We have lots of great lives today. I'll be joining Steph for her workout of the day, so catch us at 11 live right here. You can work out with us or save the video for later. And we have lots of great other lives to be seen today. So stick around. I'll be back later also with an evening recipe. You guys have a great Monday.